Special thanks to Mr. Mark Bentley for his fruitful presentation. And just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, at 3:50, we'll be having a live hack session presented by Mr. Ridwan Sheikh. But for the moment, we're having a decoding the hack mind session presented by Mr. Hieu, the lead cyber threat investigator from Stingforce.com from Vietnam. And also we're having Mr. Mark Koss, the Chief Operating Officer from Stingbase from the US.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Doing good? Great. Let me start off because I love being interactive, and I hope you don't mind that. But I would like to ask a question of everyone in the room. When I say the word hacker, does the word hacker represent something positive or something negative to you? And what I would like to ask, if it means something negative, or if you have a preconceived notion of the word hacker being negative, raise your hand for me. Majority. Let's see what we can do with that then. Again, thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Mark Koss. I, up until about a month and a half ago, was a Supervisory Special Agent for the US Department of Justice, where I led teams conducting large-scale international investigations into transnational criminal organizations, terrorist networks. For the past 2 years, I've been in a very prestigious position of conducting in-person instruction for investigators, prosecutors, and judges around the world in everything from basic investigative techniques to interview and interrogation techniques,
right.
to cybercrime and cryptocurrency investigations. So today we're going to be hearing a story from who has become a good friend of mine, Hieu.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hieu. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you.
Hieu has a very interesting story for us. I would say, up until recently, Hieu would have been someone that I would have targeted and tried to lure to a friendly country once he had been investigated, found guilty, or at least we had the probable cause for a lure operation,
right,
where we would lure you to a friendly country for arrest and then extradition. But what I would like is for you to share with the audience your story, because it's very interesting.
Right. Thank you, Mark. Briefly about my story. It's a long story short, though. I was a former hacker when I started when I was very young, 13 years old. And at first, I hacking just for fun. And back then, like the internet very slow, kind of like it still die up. And the first thing I hacked is about stealing the internet dial-up's account to be able to gain the access to the internet for free. Because back then, the internet so expensive. And then I went to the internet cafe one day during my middle school when I was in ninth grade.
Ninth grade. About
Yeah.
how old was that for you?
This is underground hacking forum. Right.
How old were you around ninth grade?
At that time, I was like 15.
15.
15 years old. And then I remember I went to the internet cafe, and then I passed to one of the guy tapping on the keyboard, and his his computer screen is totally dark. And I asked him, like, what kind of forum is it? What kind of website is it? And he told me this is an underground hacking forum. And it just opened my mind to the other world, like, this is different internet that I know. And then he showed me the dark web, and then I asked him, can you help me to open an account? And then after that, I went onto the dark web, explored by myself, and it just blew my mind. Then I started to learn more about hacking to those community, kind of like underground communities. And it's fun, people sharing knowledge and techniques, everything very fun back then though. So, but things getting more serious when I got into like junior high school, when I was like 16 years old. Then one of the guys that I know to the hacking community, to those underground hacking forums, he talked to me, he approached me. He say, yeah, I know you got some skill, how some hacking skill, why you don't use to make some money?
So up until this time, when you were hacking, was there any illegal activity going on, or was it just for fun?
It's just totally for fun. I hack and steal the customer data, and then I post it on underground hacking forum for free. Like, I even like wrote the hacking ebooks and sharing my techniques and knowledge to the people on those forums. So I got trusted, and they approached me to become an admin for this forum when I was like still in middle school. Then things getting more serious when I met that guy at the hacking community group. When I met him at the internet cafe, and then he told me, we can use your hacking skill, to be able to steal some credit card and bank account.
Credit card and bank account.
Right. And then he taught me how to use that to be able to get the money out. So he showed me how to launder the money, to eBay, to PayPal, and so many different websites. And after that, like me and him, we've been making money together. Okay. Like when I was like still in junior high school, and I was making up to like 1,000 USD per day.
$1,000 US a day.
A day.
Our timer isn't working, by the way.
Right. So he say, we've been making money like this. So and then I saved up some money during my high school time, and then I used that money, illegal money. I pay for my school in New Zealand, because I told him, I don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. I get tired. I want to be a real professional computer expert. Mm-hmm. So I want to go to New Zealand instead of studying in Vietnam. But I went to New Zealand in 2017-18 to study about computer science. But then didn't work out at all.
What?
I still, hack it.
Okay.
Right, still hacking. And then I hacked into some of the e-commerce website, very big one in New Zealand. And I stole a lot of stolen data from New Zealand e-commerce website, and then resell that on the dark web. And then the police in New Zealand, they find out about that. They call me and they call my sister. I got so scared. I threw everything away, and then I ran away from New Zealand. I got back to Vietnam.
Okay.
Then my parents, they got so mad. They got so depressed about that. And then I promised to them, I'm not going to do that again. But I come back to do the same thing again after 6 months.
After 6 months?
After 6 months, I got back to Vietnam.
You broke your promise to your parents?
Right, I brought all my promises with my parents. Because I met all my old friends in the hacking community again. And then they told me, Hieu, you got some good skill, man. Why you don't use that for making some money,
Right.
easy money?
Yeah.
And they told me about the social security number, U.S. social.
U.S. Social Security identity numbers.
And then I say, yes, let me find out. Maybe something, safer than credit card and bank account information. To me, at that time, based on my knowledge, I just feel like social security number is just numbers. It's just information. But then,
You didn't think it was illegal at
No.
that point.
I think it's illegal, but at that time, I think it's kind of safer.
So, if I may
Right.
ask, did you start justifying it to yourself in your mind?
I believe so.
You started to think what you were doing was okay.
Try to make an excuse of that.
All right.
So I can keep going and keep doing what I want to do.
And
Right.
that is what we call a slippery slope, that
Right.
once you start to be able to justify in your own mind, it's all right.
It's all right.
You can start to justify almost anything at that
That's
point.
true. So I took like almost a month to do a research
Okay.
about the data broker in the US. And I found out the list of all the data broker companies in the US who provide these US identity for law enforcement, for lawyers, and for private investigator.
Which we would commonly use
Yeah.
in any investigation that we would have done.
Right.
We would go to one of the data broker companies just to ask for know your customer information, usually derived from third-party credit indices.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct. So I find out a list of that, and then I started to hack them. So I hacked a few of the data broker in the US, gain access into like almost 200 million US identities.
200 million.
Millions. 200 million US identity. So, like, this is how it's worked. Like, when I got the access, I started to open a website to resell the data to all the cyber criminal,
You started your own business.
my own business. So the game is, it just keep back and forth, like I hack them, they fix the vulnerability, and I hack them again. So it's just kind of like, cat and mouse games. So I got tired. And I say, no, this is not stable. It's not good income at all, it's too much headache. And then I told to myself, why, let me do some of the other research that try to impersonate as a private investigator.
Okay.
So I can kind of like officially and legitimate to gain access to the data broker portal.
Right.
So I impersonate as a Singaporean private investigator.
Again, you're making excuses,
Right.
trying to justify what you're doing in your own head.
Right.
Okay.
And then I got the access to one of the major data broker in the US. And then I pay for them. I deal with them like business. I told them, I'm running like background check for like big companies around the world, and I need a huge access, like a large amount of searches. So they give me 14 cents for one identity.
14 cents per identity.
And the
You turn
identity
around and you could sell that for how much?
for $1.
For $1.
So I make like 86 cents for one identity.
So at your high point when you're
Right.
doing this, how much money were you making?
That's a good question though. Like I was making up to like 120K per month.
120,000 US dollars per month.
Per month. And all the money I learned to the cryptocurrencies back in the day.
Wow.
Right. And end up, from the day from 2020, when I got the access to that fake private investigator account, to the day I got arrested, is I was making up to 3 million USD.
3 million.
3 million USD.
That's incredible.
Right.
Okay. let's fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
We're
Right.
running a bit tight on time. Our time got cut down quite severely. So take us to when you get a phone call from who you think is another customer, and that would be Matt, correct?
Right. There's this, interesting story that how I got caught. That Matt O'Neill is a former U.S. Secret Service, and then he's impersonates as my customer, and he also got an kind of like informant. He got an informant, so they collaborate together to approach me. And during 6 months, around like 2020, 2010
Right.
to 2012, that's those time I was kind of like up on on top of the mountain.
Oh yeah, you were making a ton of money.
Right, ton of money. But Matt O'Neill been monitoring me and also as an undercover customer, kind of like undercover agent
Yeah.
to be my customer. And I sell the identity to him. I didn't know.
That
You
you
know.
just broke multiple U.S. federal laws.
Right.
Okay.
And then he approached me, and then suddenly, all of my service got shut down in
Right.
2012. At the end of 2012, all got shut down. Finally, I've been struggling to find a good way to be able to maintain my data to provide to my existing customer.
Right.
So the thing is, when I opened a new one, they shut down that one too. So I got so much headache and stressful. Finally, one of the informant, his name called Mark, and then he's right, Scarlett Johansson. So he
It wasn't
approached
me.
I don't know. That's right, for sure. So he approached me, and then he's saying, we can provide you a good data access to UK and also US as well too.
But you had to travel somewhere, right?
Right.
Where did they ask you to travel to?
I say, wow, such a good opportunity. I want to be a businessman. I don't want to be like this anymore. I get tired of this.
Right.
Even though it's good money, but I think it's not lasting forever.
Right.
So he told me, we can collaborate and we can sign a good business contract with a data broker that he know in Guam,
Guam.
right, and also in Australia, in New Zealand, or in the US as well too. I say, wow, no, it sounds too fishy to me. I say no. So at the end, after 6 months, we've been talking and chatting.
You're not
and-
making any money.
No, no
You're
money.
starting to hurt.
Right, because get used to of spending money.
Of course.
Easy money, easy go, like. So,
We won't ask you what you spend it on.
right, I spend on a lot of luxury cars and stuff like that. So, he's approached me at the end. He say, okay, we will meet you at Guam, the islands.
Yes.
But at that time, I didn't do a good research on Guam. I thought it's just islands.
You didn't know it was a U.S. territory.
No, I didn't know at all. It just, my mind, it just, it's kind of like the money, it just blind my eyes.
Right.
Everything just blind my eyes.
That's all you think about at that point.
right.
Is money.
Everything tracing the money.
And that's what we prey upon.
Right.
Go on.
So the money blind my eyes. I went to Guam, and immediately when I landed to the airport, the U.S. Secret Service and then the custom officer, they escorted me to the custom office.
Right.
And they questioned me, and they put a stack of paper like this much on
Oh,
the
yeah.
table. I say it's game over.
You
I-
knew at that point.
At that time, I just shocking and I just crying, and then I very quiet, and that's it.
So they take you to the U.S.
Right,
You get found guilty.
right.
You get sentenced to how long?
156 months, equally 13 years in federal prison.
But did you cooperate?
Yes, I collaborate and I support the U.S. government.
All right. And what happened in prison?
During my time in prison, I still, kind of rehabilitate myself. I apply into many different educational programs, and they also have computers They also have law libraries, and they send me to those law libraries and also these activity in prison. So I rehabilitate myself, and after that, during that time, from 2013, I got arrested to 2019. Finally, I got time served. So I cut my time like a half of my time because of my rehabilitation and also my cooperation with the U.S. government.
Right. And at this point in your life,
Right.
if you would explain to the audience what you do currently as a colleague.
Right. Like I really admire Matt O'Neill that because the way he investigate and also how he approached me and arrest me. So it inspired me a lot. So the day I got released in 2019, I got back home in 2020 during the COVID pandemic. And then I started to work at the cyber threat investigator for National Cybersecurity Center in Vietnam.
Okay.
Collaborate with law enforcement in Vietnam, and from 2020 to December 2024, I just left the National Cybersecurity Center, and I was able to helping the law enforcement arresting more than 200 cyber criminals in Vietnam.
Helping to target
Right.
exactly the members that you were friends with and working with.
No, not really. Most of the people that I know is just anonymously.
Okay.
Right. Nobody know each other, and most of my time to do investigation is the dark web and also on the Telegram, also on the ClearNet as well too, to be able to identify the cyber criminal, targeting the citizen in Vietnam and also the government.
Right.
So that's how I did during my time.
So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to turn back the clock here for everyone.
Right.
If you could go back to when you were 15, before you decided that you would go the road of criminality,
Right.
what would have changed your mind, or what could have changed your mind to do what you're doing now, working with law enforcement
Right.
instead of working on the criminal side?
Like back then, there's no playground for me to be able to do something like this. To be honest,
Really?
like back then, like everything is just like internet so new to anybody, and there's no such thing about cybersecurity. Everything is so easy to hack.
So
Right.
let me turn to the audience. I have a question. When I say the name Steve Jobs,
Right.
do we think Steve Jobs is a positive influence in our society? I would say more than likely everyone would agree with me. Would it surprise you to learn that he was a hacker at a young age? How about Bill Gates? Bill Gates in high school decided he would hack his high school computer network so he could place himself in more classes that had females that he was interested in. So from a law enforcement perspective, all we tend to see, and I will speak for myself,
Right.
we tend to see the negativity of the word hacker. But if we would look back and we would provide you the opportunity, instead of going down the road of criminality, but instead working with law enforcement, do you think you would have taken that?
Yes, I will take that chance.
Okay.
Right.
And if you could explain to the audience right now, when we look at people that have been hackers or are hackers, could you explain to us the different types of hackers
Right.
that are out there?
Yes, thank you. There's many kinds of different, different kinds of hackers like black hat, white hat, red team, purple team, and blue team.
And what
Right.
what are each of those?
So the black hat is totally like the one is just having the criminal mind and always doing something illegal.
So law
Right.
enforcement, we're targeting the black hat.
Right, the black hat. And the white hat is the one, who helping all the company to get secure and doing penetration testing to secure the system, and also maybe sometimes working with the law enforcement as well too.
Right.
Right. And there is also other kinds of hackers as well too, like red team. They kind of like acting as a real threat actor to penetrate a system, but to be able to help the company to get secure in a way of by using the hacker techniques.
Okay.
Right. And the blue team is the one who mostly defends the system
Right.
only.
Right.
And the purple team is the mix of the red team and the blue team. It's a mix of that, right?
So when I started to conduct research into this subject, I found that the corporate world right now is targeting our youth around the world. They're providing them with puzzles, they're providing them with games, because the corporate world has recognized the youth, specifically those that are neurodivergent, have these skills that are prized now by corporate world. Have we in law enforcement done that? Is this another instance of law enforcement being in a place where we're trying to play catch up, not only with the corporate world, but also with the criminal element?
Yeah.
I think it truly is. So when we look at your story, Hieu, when we look at how widely accepted some of the people in the corporate world that are leading these Fortune 500 companies, we look at what they did back in their youth, but instead of going down the road you chose, they went to go a different route. Why, from a law enforcement perspective, can't we offer the same? Why can't we change our thought process when it comes to what a hacker is from the majority of people in the audience that raised their hand and said it was negative? Why can't we look at it as a positive? Not only that, what aren't we doing to challenge our youth from the countries that we represent to try to foster them going down the right road and the right path instead of the black hat hacker path?
Right.
So as we wrap up, this was a story of redemption, but I would like to pose to the audience, now that we've heard Hieu's story, now that we've heard kind of the uncovering of some of the more famous people in the world that we look up to, as well as what corporate is doing for trying to poach, trying to educate, and trying to instill that our youth go down that right path, can I ask again, when I say the word hacker, instead of asking how many see it in a negative term, at this point, how many see it in a positive term? I think we've changed some minds, Hieu.
Right.
Thank you very much for your attention. We've reached our time limit. I hope you've enjoyed Hieu's story. It's been a pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for your
everybody.
attention.
Have a good day. Thank you.